In this video, we'll look through the latest charts and the latest news right across the markets, from crypto into the stock market. We'll look at gold, China, Russia, and so many more things. You're going to absolutely love it. Let's run the numbers. Let's check in and see how the crypto market is going. We can see that over the past 24 hours, Bitcoin has just moderately come down. And what has happened to Ethereum? It sold off a little bit more. Binance Coin basically moving with Bitcoin. We've seen Solana just a little bit weaker. XRP had quite a spike. I'll get into that one in a minute. ADA, Cardano has actually been doing really well. There was a lot of conversation on X about ADA being, just forget about it. Somebody better tell ADA that. ADA is clearly not listening to X or the news. It's doing its own thing. And what's Dogecoin doing? Oh, that's looking pretty good. And total crypto market cap was retracing, but now is just wavering around. We'll dive into that. Some definite buy on green news. Grayscale officially launches the SUI Trust for accredited investors. And thank you so much, Arman. Very nice comment. The CTKS Masterclass was the best investment I've made towards my financial freedom. Very nice of you, my friend. In other news, out today on X, Tether made $6.2 billion in profit and BlackRock only a measly $5.5 billion. Larry will not be happy. And many thanks to Rundle Ridge, who says, I cannot trade without the CTKS method. Larry is at it again. He is saying he's promoting Bitcoin as a hedge against global financial disorders. He's calling it a global monetary alternative. That's pretty good news because BlackRock is the $9 trillion. It's the largest asset manager on the planet. Oh, and what about that XRP spike? Ripple gains 4% as Grayscale announces the XRP Trust to bring in institutional capital. And please take a note of this, XRP is still 85% below its previous all-time high. There's some quite interesting things happening within Bitcoin's chart. We saw yesterday Bitcoin coming up into all of this overhead structural resistance. Structural resistance just basically means there are a lot of sellers here and they're trying to push the price down. And they've done a fairly good job of it. We look like we were losing this structural support, which opens up a negative structural attraction at that 57,410. But actually what happened inside the main markets is the indices such as the Dow, the Russell, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ futures started to rally. We'll look at that in a while. But this is why it's so important to keep your eye on not just the Bitcoin chart. From a longer term perspective, we're just consolidating at the current time. We've had an absolute epic run up, no question about it. These big gains need to consolidate. We can see that it's not just Bitcoin. Total crypto market cap is also just dealing with a level of structural resistance that's proving to be a bit of an issue. But we may be seeing starts of a change of character here. Oh, what a character. It's always changing. That would place this upper resistance level into play. Just note where these spikes are. When you're looking at chart normalization, you need to keep an eye on the time axis. You can see this is around 13 and this is around 12 o'clock. Therefore, looking back to Bitcoin, this is 13, this is around 12 o'clock. So we're looking at these particular spikes to align with total crypto market cap around this structural resistance level. It's a really good idea to look between the charts. Some other cool news that's going on. Look at this, the boring zone. We're in the boring zone. It's so boring. It's not really that boring. It's a bit all over the place. But look at this. Raoul Pal says the banana zone is coming. That's when we slip on a banana and go up into the stratosphere and defy the laws of gravity. Really cool. And thank you very much to Lucas for your very kind comment. I've been following Ken's videos for the last 2.5 years, and these last 3 videos were some of the best summaries for all those years. Thank you, my friend. The Global Liquidity Index is something that we look at because we need to know when the money is coming out of the market and going into the market. And look at this, aligning just perfectly with recent liquidity. It's just like TA. Let's have a little bit of a look at Ethereum. What are we seeing here? In terms of structural support and structural resistance, we're currently under structural resistance. But if total crypto market cap happens to go up and meet that structural resistance level, that would coincide around this level with ETH. But if we start to lose that, we have another structural support level below, around that 2310 mark. And then we see that we've got more and more safety nets under price. TechDev put out this particular chart, and we see these kind of charts all the time. What is TechDev saying? Oh, we're in the bear trap. No need to concern. Everything will go fantastically. And if you're new to the channel, a very warm welcome. And you might be looking at this little dude and saying, what the heck is that? This is Run on Bad News Rabbit. And guess what Robin does when bad news is around? And Beardy says, silly Robin, panic selling's for kids. When you look at the structural levels on all of these charts, you'll find that they're all different. Look at this structural support level playing out at that 131.80 mark, and just north of 137 and around that 138, Solana has structural resistance levels. Please let me know if you trade or invest in Solana in the comments. Some very interesting things have been happening inside the main markets. We can see that the VIX came down, and also the most risk-sensitive asset class, Bitcoin and crypto, they came down as well. And we didn't see that in the major index for the Nasdaq. That didn't do that whatsoever. And some pretty interesting things. We saw yields decay, and typically when the yields decay and the dollar decays, that actually drives Bitcoin's price up along with the stock market, and of course gold as well. But something interesting has been happening with gold. Gold hit an all-time high. Now, a lot of people think that as soon as you hit an all-time high, there's no resistance above. That has never, ever been the case. Not for institutional traders or investors. Retail, yes. Institutional, no. At the time of this recording, we've seen that Bitcoin has been coming down and now is starting to cut upwards. This is pretty good news. The VIX, or the inverted VIX, looks like it was going to throw a negative signal on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin was picking that up. But the VIX obviously decided, nah, I don't want to go that way, and it's going the absolute opposite way. And you can see the Russell 2000 is outperforming all of the rest. And the Russell 2000 is a really good indicator, at least its direction, as to where Bitcoin and crypto could well be going. We know that the S&P 500 did particularly well in yesterday's session, but notice this. All of these levels of structural overhead resistance around that 5600 mark are starting to come into play. Now, what does that mean for the S&P 500 and the components of it? These are sellers, and they're pushing down from 5607, trying to push the price through this negative fair value gap at least to the 55-53 level. Please let me know in the comments, do you think we'll start to come up through 5607, or do you think we'll underside retest and move downwards to 55-53? Doing the rounds on X, I picked up this particular chart on gold. What is it saying to us? We're breaking over all of that resistance, and gold is going to party. But we know that even when price reaches an all-time new high, it doesn't mean that there's not overhead structural resistance. There's usually a ton of it hanging around somewhere. And many thanks to a Mano name who said, all the new assignments to the movements between structure, I've already started to look at everything in this way, and it feels like a level up. We are all gonna make it. Love it. In yesterday's video, I talked about SCs, which are just accumulations of SLs or Stanfield levels. What we're seeing above that 2592 mark, there are a lot of structural resistance levels playing in here on gold. But we have definite structural attraction up into this 2600 area. You should always understand the price is just moving between structural levels to structural levels. It does take some time to get through structure, but there is always structure above price, no matter where it is. If we find that the yields come up and the dollar starts to spike, we would anticipate that gold could come down, at least into this 25.57 area, so just be aware of that. There are also some other geopolitical events that are happening at the current time, which make gold very attractive. And this piece of news is potentially one of them. Russian President Vladimir Putin says long-range arms for Kiev would mean that NATO countries are at war with Russia. Even though gold has that kind of association with Bitcoin, or Bitcoin has the association with gold, digital gold, it doesn't necessarily always correlate together. So this is something that you should bear in mind. But over time, they do move similarly. And if you would like to buy some gold, Perperatum is the one that you should speak to. He knows his gold. A lot of people on X have been talking about the fact that gold reaching its all-time new high has attracted little to any attention in the mainstream media. And I think it's got something to do with the Vladimir Putin news. I don't think anybody wants anyone to look too closely at the why. As a gold trader myself for many, many years, I love the yellow metal, and I also love Bitcoin. Hey, guess what? You don't have to have just one, you can have both if you like. And Bitcoin, in terms of returns, is pretty damn volatile, but it can create staggering returns. Gold is a little bit more subdued, but it's pretty consistent. And many thanks to CTKS Ambassador Al, who's just recently, with his beloved wife, put out a partial masterclass scholarship. Al and Shah, you are amazing. One particular signal of risk on and risk off are junk bonds. And when you see that junk bonds are increasing, it's likely that the stock market and also crypto is rallying. There can be disconnections and lags between junk bonds and the crypto market, so just be aware of this. But as far as the stock market is absolutely concerned, if junk bonds is coming up, ooh, it's party time. That's why, at this point of time, it's vitally important that we confirm 9670 as a structural level of support. It's already a structural level, but we need it to actually be support. We don't want to underside retest and move below 9670. We don't want to do that. We want to test it if we have to, and then start to come up and make a higher high. That's really important. And you can see in the past we've confirmed and just lost it. These confirmations have not held, so they're not true confirmations. Now what we're seeing is more and more strength. That means that for this part of price action, potentially the bottom could well be in. But just when you thought it was safe, Robin comes screaming out of his rabbit hole and says, but Ken, the Chinese 10-year bond yield falls to the record low. Look at this. This is really bad. And it's the lowest it's been in 10 years. And you might say, what the hell are you talking about, Robin? Who cares about Chinese bonds? What it's really all about. If the bonds, which are the way that the governments make money, if their yields are falling off, it's like another way of saying it. People just don't want it. Now, why don't they want it? Because they probably think they're not going to get paid back. This applies with every country, not just China, of course. The concept is when we had the COVID sell-off, we saw that bond yields absolutely just went through the floor, just like oil. Inside our community, we do a thing called BORSOG, which is buy on red, sell on green. We're not worried about running from bad news. That's where we step in and say, thank you very much for the bargain. And if you think about this, if Robin was in the real world and his favorite mobile phone, cell phone, went on sale and say it was 50% off, you know what Robin would do if he was thinking inside the markets? He would run away from that bargain. Or if, for example, if you wanted to buy a house and you got a 30% discount for some reason, potentially your fantastic negotiating skills, you would say, I'm going to do a Robin. I don't want it now. So how does Robin interact with financial markets? If he is not paying 20 to 30% more than the fair value, he's not going to buy. Do not be Robin. When things go on sale, you really want to take advantage of it, not run away from it. But you know what the institutions say. Oh no, you can never make a loss. That's rule number 1. And rule number 2, see rule number 1. Oh my goodness, what rubbish. Oof, I was going to say something else then. The key to understand is price is always just going down and then up and down and up and down and up. And even if it's coming down, it's going down and then it's coming back up. And it's going down and coming back up and going down and coming back up. Price is always moving in a wave. But unfortunately, the Robins of this world think that price just moves down to zero or moves up to infinity. The federal funds rate is going to be changed next Thursday when the FOMC meets. Now, what is likely to happen? It's likely that we get a 25 basis point or a 0.25% decrease in the federal funds rate. Now, what if we got a 50 basis point or a 0.5%? What would that mean? That would probably send a message to the stock market and also the crypto market and the bond market and the forex market, all the markets, they just hang out together, saying, oh goodness, we're kind of messed up the economy. Now, a lot of people will say, that's fantastic news because the banana zone will happen just like it did in COVID. All of that excess liquidity will come in and flood the system because they've broken it. Remember what happened first in COVID, and then when the liquidity came in, there was a delay between it kicking in and actually having an economic impact. We're not anticipating anything like that, but please just be aware. For us, inside the CTKS community, it doesn't matter if price is going down, if price is going up, we can take advantage of it either way. Literally, this community was born in the red. We're an incredibly strong community, and thanks so much, Nigel. We love you too, man. Something interesting that's just in, we saw that the federal funds rate, the probability was 86% yesterday that the federal funds rate would be decreasing by 25 basis points. And what happened? It fell from 86% to 57%. Where'd the other percents go? They went into a 50 basis point decrease. It increased from 14% to 43%. Now, what does all this mean? It means that the Fed may have broken the economic system. If you're new to our global family, a very warm welcome. We have one of the best communities on YouTube. In fact, I think it's the best. And thank you again to everybody for your awesome comments. It's important to be aware if we get a bigger rate cut from the Fed than was anticipated, that's not priced in just yet. Coinbase is opening up the ramps into DeFi with wrapped Bitcoin and wrapped Ethereum. Pretty cool stuff. And thank you so much to I use the CTKS method. I'm here now and grateful to be a part of this group of elite traders. We're very grateful that you're here too, my friend. Looking back on the 4-year cycle, you can see the election year starts, election day, and what happens after. Election year starts, election day, and what happens after. Election year starts, election day, and what happens after. Election year start, election day, and what happens after, if things go that way. Here's another way of looking at it. The bull run, the bull run, the bull run, the bull run, and the soon-to-be bull run. Breakout, 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 and an imminent breakout. Based on this chart, I'm going all in and more. Just kidding. No, I'm not. Something else wandering around X today. Bitcoin has no founder, no ruling foundation, no pre-mine, no insiders, no initial investors, no office, no website, no paid executive team, no marketing team. Oh, maybe Michael Saylor would disagree. No, no paid development team. That's true. No starting price, no human controlling it. Bitcoin is the fairest money on the planet. Yep, tick, tick, tick. Keeping an open mind on where price could go is incredibly important. Of course, this is an up-only scenario, and that's pretty much what X is about. They're very enthusiastic people, and that's terrific. And of course, we have to just account for the fact that price is always moving, not just down, not just up, sideways as well, and it can do it at any point. So it's really important to have a strategy to deal with the volatility, because you saw those returns. Bitcoin is a little bit nutty, but we love it. And a few of these particular charts have been hanging around with different kind of targets on them. This cup and handle is 110. And this cup and handle is drawn differently, but yeah, it's still pretty good. In other news, CZ will be released in 2 weeks. Wow! I wonder what happens to Binance Coin when CZ comes back. Remember, there are always going to be negative people out there and positive people out there, and they're going to change their positions from time to time. Negative one day, positive the next, negative another day, positive the next. I'm not talking about Crystal. I'm talking about just the world. This is how it goes. Now, this particular reporter is saying, oh, stormy weather, time to sell. Okay, maybe. And look at this. We get another Wyckoff distribution schematic that fits perfectly. Ah, fantastic. Please let me know in the comments, have you read Wyckoff's original book? This is also a pretty interesting thing that was floating around. These are the drawdowns of Bitcoin in different parts of the Bitcoin cycle. Look at this. We're in the minor leagues at the moment. We haven't even had a really good drawdown. Don't forget, in the bull run, and you can see this is the bull run. Look at this, 30%. What about this? Yay, caramba. You can see some pretty big drawdowns actually occur as Bitcoin is going up. And to all the people who made it in yesterday's video, I can only say deep respect for each and every one of you. A lot of people have been talking about just how much money is getting absorbed by interest rate payments by the US government, and it's a lot. Recently, Lorenzo was awarded the Joe CTKS Partial Masterclass Scholarship. Well done, my friend. And Ambassador Al and his beloved wife have very kindly offered another partial masterclass scholarship. If you would like to learn how to use the CTKS method, how all the markets intercorrelate and interconnect. And the CTKS method is literally the world's most powerful smart money buy and sell level detection system. Your name could be here. All you need to do is just fill out the form. And if you filled out a form previously and you're still interested, please make a note. Please fill in that form again. On CTKSMethod.org, we'll be bringing out a new class profiting from CTKS method structure for masterclass students, people who are inside the service or who have done level 1 and level 2 standard certification. From CTKSMethod.org, you will receive this class, which is going to be released on the 9th of October, absolutely free of charge. It's literally all about rule number 1. Only knowledge creates profit. If you want to be profitable, you must have the knowledge as to what to do, what to look at, and how to act. And it does take time to acquire those things and practice as well. That's why starting small and scaling is really important. Mujta had a really good comment. Does the CTKS method's structural levels work on TradingView charts? Yes, they were developed for that. Are these applied on TradingView charts directly? Absolutely. For example, when we look at total crypto market cap, the 3,700 plus days are analyzed inside this invite-only TradingView indicator. So you just pop it on and it will give you these levels. I hope that helped to answer your question, and these levels are formed in very strict accordance with Level 1 and Level 2 standard certification. It's vitally important that you don't be like Robin, running on bad news. You don't want to do that. When price goes down, all that happens is that people get freaked out, they sell everything, and then they have to be convinced as to price going up. And as soon as it's going up, they get trapped literally on the wrong side of the percentage and they can get wiped out. So it's really important you overcome that running on bad news and you learn how to buy on red and to sell on green. Because the focus and the reason is to be more of a financial and emotional blessing to yourself and those you love. Thank you for making it this far. You are absolutely awesome. And I would really like to help you out. In the Profiting from the CTKS Method class that's going to come out, please let me know what sort of topics you would like me to make sure that are covered inside that training. I really appreciate you letting me know. That way I can help you out as much as I possibly can. You could just say something like, in the class I would like to see, and whatever that is. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.